Have you ever had someone or something to say in the middle of a conversation and you're like, and then you went silent? You let that fear creep in? Have you ever stumbled through a conversation only to think later, like, oh, that's what I should have said? Or do you ever feel like you're in the middle of a conversation and you're like, you are not hearing me? Well, my friend, you are not alone. A lot of us have bad habits when it comes to communication. So get ready to level up your communication skills. My name is Kathy Riley. I am your host and communication expert with over 25 years in litigation and another 15 as an entrepreneur. Our goal here is to share tool systems, techniques guaranteed to shift the way you connect and communicate with others. From mastering the art of a tough conversation to cultivating a mindset that screams confidence, you're going to learn how to break those bad habits. And I'm so excited because we have a special guest today, all the way from the other side of the world, Miss Nina Fountain. She's an executive stylist at Style Gorgeous. So back in 2016, Nina had no idea what would become she had no idea that she would become a personal stylist. She was working as a management consultant when she asked out of the blue to give a workshop on style. When she saw the way her audience felt about their transformation, she wanted to create that experience again and again. Nina is an Australian living in New Zealand who's passionate about food, fashion, all things creative, science, and business related. Welcome, Miss Nina. I'm so glad you're here.
It's an honor. I love what you're doing with this podcast. I just love it. It's fantastic to be here.
Oh, and I love communication is often, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it and your accent. I mean, oh God, you sound amazing. I mean, you're gorgeous, but then, and for
You-
those of you that are listening, she's a very gorgeous woman. And then you just
you're
hear her and you're like, oh man, take that up the next level. I love it. So I'm honored for you to be here and share your genius. Now, if you think about it, communication, we talk about communication is only 7% words. So when you walk into a room, do you know the 7-Eleven rule?
Tell me, you're seven. Actually, I think you were the person who mentioned this to me, the 11. So I'd love to hear you say it because you do this.
Yeah. So the 7-Eleven, this breaks down our brain, our conscious and our subconscious. So when you just enter a room and people look at you, in 7 seconds, they've made 11 subconscious judgments and decisions about you. So when you think about that, how you show up matters. And that has to do with your posture and whether you got a smile on your face, but it also has to do with like what you're wearing, right? And your what you wear matters if you want, especially in not just in business, but in wanting to create transition, inspiration, connection. What you wear matters. And so I love what we were talking about a little bit ago. And this is, I'm not a fashion icon. I don't know labels. I don't know things like that. I know what I like, but there's a lot of people out there that are into all of that. And I like how you said there's a difference between the business of fashion versus style. Talk to me about that.
Yes, when people hear that I'm a stylist, they immediately think of high-end designer labels, catwalk magazine images. The business of fashion is what comes to mind. And it's an industry. It's designed to get us to buy and to be captivated, to be inspired by fashion. At the same time, there are many icons that we would look up to who talk about style as being quite different to fashion. And they say style is what you get to choose, and style is what you turn up in every day. And at a very personal level, style is, in my words, the silent language. It's a visual language that we're using to subtly communicate to the people in our audiences, in our teams, on, on stages and in the places where we have influence, to them. And we're also communicating to ourselves. And as you said, there are 11 judgments made in 7 seconds. Visual language is powerful language. It gets straight to the heart. It actually really gets to people's emotions in a very, very powerful way. And what we often don't realize is that we've set up an emotional dynamic right at the beginning of a relationship that then does affect the trajectory of the relationship. So there's been research done on how did that first impression that happened in 7 seconds, how did that translate into the trajectory of the relationship? Did it play out? And so they chose college students for this research, and most of the time people were consistent. They continue to follow up on their first impression. So they interacted and developed a relationship with that person in accordance with the first impression that they had. So we like to be consistent with ourselves, and that first impression is our moment to communicate who we are, and yeah, to make the most of that. So we got into first impressions there from business and fashion and style, but
Yeah.
I think this is such a key thing, is that style is the choice. Style is us. Style is our own authentic ability and our moment to step into who we are.
I love that. And when I've got so many questions coming into my head on the that just because like you just the older you get, the easier it is, I think, to put aside what everyone else seems to think we should be doing and
For sure.
owning your worth. What would you say is a common mistake made when it comes to our style? Is
It
there one? What pops
Yeah,
to you?
it's a good one. And it's hard to really go past that mistake of thinking, I should be wearing this. I should be doing that. It's exactly what you said, that the more and the quicker you step into your own worth, that there's only one you, and you're the one living your life. And the quicker we do that, actually, the more successful we are, the more aligned we are, the better energy we have for what we're doing. And if we do that early on in life, it's really powerful to do that sooner rather than later, and really to be aligned. So I would say that is the biggest mistake, really, is to think, I should be wearing that because someone else is wearing that, or because it's a trend, or because someone told me that there's a rule, and so many of these rules are no longer applicable. Like blue and green should never be seen without something in between, I was told when I was a child. And you shouldn't wear pink and red together, and you shouldn't wear white on particular days. And there's a whole lot of rules that we can inherit and think, I'll belong, or I'll feel fine, or I'll feel worthy if I follow those rules. Whereas in fact, that's all fear-based thinking.
Yeah.
And instead, if we come back to, well, how do I love the person I am, and step fully into my own shell, fully into connecting with my own inner voice, then yeah, that's where we get unleash this incredible ability.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's the biggest mistake we're making when it comes to our style, our fashion, whatever, is thinking that we need to follow certain rules and what everybody else says we should be doing versus kind of tuning in to our own thoughts, beliefs, and
Yes.
passions about dress.
Yes, what we love. So when I really started dialing in my style, because I experimented with it a lot and spent thousands of dollars on clothes, just working out, experimenting and trying it. And some things worked and some things didn't. And when I really wanted to get dialed in, I was kind of late 20s, looking to progress in my career, wanted to be understood for who I was at that time and what I could bring. I set a standard that I wasn't going to let anything into my closet that didn't feel fantastic to wear because I loved it and it looked amazing on me. And that was so much more powerful than thinking, what should I be wearing? What are the people wearing? Or what's you've got to be aware of the code. You absolutely need to be aware of the code and aware of your environment. So it's not throwing everything out, but it's
Uh-huh.
really saying, come back to that standard, set that high bar for yourself of what do you love and what do you really feel fantastic in. That is so much more empowering.
Now, how following like styles, long coats, short coats, big baggy pants, skinny jeans, all of that. Is there any advice you give for somebody who's trying to figure out, you know, what looks good?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I firstly, well, there's three aspects. So there's three things to think about, and different personalities are drawn to different clothing features. Some people feel very comfortable, for example, in soft fabrics and loose clothes, whereas some people feel very comfortable in structured clothes that are more weighty and even quite close to the skin. So the literally the same thing they're going for, comfort, is expressed in completely different ways. And then we've got things like some people feel very connected to color and others love a monochrome palette. Some people love trends and some people feel kind of edgy and street smart, and then other people really want to be classic and timeless and to be able to wear the same thing today as they'll wear in a week's time, as they'll wear in a year's time, and as they'll wear in 10 years' time. So our personalities really play into that. And that's where I've looked at this. I studied psychology as part of my degree, my communication sciences degree. And then having styled hundreds of women, I've noticed that there's a difference in our personalities, and that connects with all of these different elements. And so I've done I guess I've done the work in my client sessions, but also done a bit of research around it, and I've pulled all of that together into a style persona system, and it's the world first. It's a world first system in connecting the ocean model of personality with style. So when we're making these decisions, what looks good, we carry and we wear, we feel most aligned with, and we are most powerful in style that that is aligned with our personality. That's the basic level. And that's key. Then you've also got to think about what looks the part for the role that you're playing so that people could easily see you in that light. And what comes to mind around this is I watched a video series recently with a woman who said that she could make me $1 million through speaking. But she was filming in her kitchen. She had a sweatshirt on, a t-shirt. Her hair wasn't done, no makeup on. And I could see the toaster behind her. And I thought, can she make me $1 million through speaking? Really? And it wasn't that she can't. It wasn't a definite judgment. It was just a question. And I think that's what style does, is it gets us into let's make it easy for people. Let's use that visual language to not put barriers in the way, not raise questions, but just make it easy to get on and do business because you look the part and then you align with who you actually are. So who I think I've worked you out to be from, a very first impression turns out to be the person that you are. So it just flows easily from there. And then, cherry on the top, if you can get there, is that sense of authoritative presence where you're consistently that person. So all of those things for me go into does it look good, which is why I really think it comes back to actually connecting with your purpose and who you are to start with. And then there's definitely design principles, right? Like there's some things that just look bad because they look bad. So um, you we're talking so much about who the person is and connecting with all of that, and then we have to have this really art and design layer is so key. So there's things there around proportions and around color matching and around, what suits your shape silhouettes, etc. So, we that's all key, but it only really works and makes sense and feels empowering when it's not built on this foundation of your purpose. What do you need to do to look the part? What does authentic, credible style look like for you? And, and how do you want to turn up? What's your presence going to be?
I love that. It's funny. I just had a flashback as you were describing all of this, like because your clothes are do and how you dress showcases who you are and the role that you're playing.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. Um, Here I am in college, and coming from I grew up in the Midwest, right? And it was sort of farm country developing. But my favorite outfit, because I was also a tomboy, even though I didn't play any sports, was a Spuds MacKenzie t-shirt. Get this, a
Fun.
Spuds MacKenzie t-shirt. So this tells you, the time frame. It was
I
these
love it.
jeans shorts that had that big flap. Do you remember the big flap? It was a button
Yes.
down, and then it was guys Nike high tops. And I'll
Very
never forget.
cool.
So as
Street smart, right? Street smart you.
I looked awful, right? I see pictures of me now and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I felt, it was comfortable. And then I
Right.
remember as you get older, and then some of my friends, we've developed a relationship, and they're like, Kathy, we're going to take you shopping. We've got, I'm throwing out the guys' Nike high tops. And I'm like, what? But
Next time, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. Okay.
and then thinking the transition of changing how I dressed, because then I started working, right? And I started working in a law firm. That was my first job out of college, and it started shifting to, next thing you know, I'm in these suits, right? Because it was the Midwest and it was back in the 90s. So women wore suits, hose, and heels, right? Not pants, which is
Conservative,
crazy.
formal dress code,
Very
lawyers known for
conservative.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point I wish to make is that I started wearing the clothes for the job that I wanted to have,
Yes. Love it.
and for the environment that I wanted to be in and be seen as serious.
Yes.
So what th- what are some, for entrepreneurial women, because that's a big amount of my audience and who I target, that, and I would say, or women who are in the corporate industry, maybe looking to get, I digress. So for who's ever listening, what would you suggest is some of the um standard recommended outfits to be professional? You know what
Yeah.
I so
Yes. Great. So yeah, let's assume it's a business casual environment, which is quite normal, unless you're in a really, let's say that's probably the mainstream dress code now, because
yeah.
you've got law and accounting, they're going to be your formal dress codes. And then you've got creative tech. They're much more casual. But business casual really sits in the middle there. And that could be a really hard one to land because you're not casual, you're not formal. You know, we know what those look like, but this middle ground is where people ask me questions most of the time. And um, the trick is that there'll be different looks for different shapes and different things that will look good on so many different people. Um, so yeah, so a standard outfit, like let's say a shirt and a blazer with a pair of kind of casual-ish pants. Like that's a good way to do a like not necessarily jeans, but something like a loose pant. That's a great way to
Yeah.
do business casual note. Or a skirt with a top that's slightly more dressy and a pair of heels. Or even if you want to go edgy, you could do sneakers and or ballet flats would work, but not be edgy. Um, yeah, or then a t-shirt and blazer with a pair of really smart tailored pants can be a nice way to kind of mix that up as well. And when I think of those things, I'm thinking of you and what I know from our meetings and what you've already said about your style and how I think you would have a bit of an edge. So you would want to be comfortable, but you would want to express like, I'm Kathy, don't put me in a corner. You know, so so you
Nice.
would be wanting to bring a bit of an edge and turn up with some personality. So, you know, I could see lots of ways that you could use those kinds of outfits to do that. And at the same time, they might not be right for everyone, and they might not, and people might listen to that and think, I haven't found that to work for my body shape, so that doesn't work for me. And this is why style is personal, and it's really there are over 700 different personal styles at least. When you
Really?
factor in that there's 12 style personas, there's 5 body shapes, and there's 12 different color palettes, that combination makes over 700 at least. So those are the most basic elements of feeling aligned and credible. And that in some ways gives people an out. Like, that's why style is a bit hard to land. And I feel like a lot of women can feel like, oh, I should have got this, you know? And then there's annoyance that why wasn't I taught some of these things? And it can feel like a judgment back on ourselves, but we're better than that. We don't need to judge ourselves. We don't deserve that judgment from anyone, let alone ourselves. And really,
Yeah.
it's kind of, let's just recognize we're trying actually to make decisions about something that is significant and influential, but it's not always easy because there's a lot of things to consider. So, you know, for anyone who's feeling like, oh, it feels out of reach, um, it's just start somewhere. Start with wearing an outfit that you know is an amazing color for you, and just feel how awesome that feels. Start with looking at what's in your wardrobe and deciding the pieces that you love and the ones that you've never loved, the ones that you feel guilty about, the ones that you even hate, you know, and just put them aside, put them under the bed and get them out of your circulation. And then, you know, when you shop next time, think, do I love it? Does it look fantastic on me? And don't buy things that don't. And those, you know, little shifts like that start moving you in the right direction. And they sound little, but they are actually foundational to then really feeling coherent, landing your style.
How do you know when it's a good color for you?
It does this beautiful thing where it creates this harmonious light. It's like you've stepped onto stage and we can see everything. We see your eyes, we see your hair, and we see your skin. So if you put a color next to your face and your skin starts to look yellow compared to the rest of
Yeah.
you, then it's a bad color. Or if your skin looks really washed out compared to the rest of your face, then it's a bad color. Or if your eyes kind of recede and you notice that, okay, well, my eyes are actually blue, but in this color they look kind of gray and washed out, that's a clue that it's not right. Or you find yourself just looking at the hair. So when I'm doing color analysis, that's the thing I'm looking for, is what are the colors that are shining this beautiful light on that person's face so that everything looks harmonious. It all looks beautiful together. It's not just skin, not just hair, not just eyes. And yeah, that's you can start by working out whether your tones are cool or warm, and you can use black and orange to do that. So black is a cool tone, orange is warm, always warm. There is no cool version of warm unless you're in the art world and you'll use that language. But it's basically, for our purposes, it's a warm tone color. That's, means I just said warm color basically. But you put those colors next to your skin, and decide which one, put one on either side of your face, and decide which one, and do them separately. Which one lights you up, which one looks more harmonious, like it would connect with your tones. And if that doesn't make sense, it does take a bit of practice. It can take a bit of time.
Uh-huh.
It's like, give yourself a bit of time with it. Um, but the best thing to do is to get it done professionally. Takes you
Yeah.
there quicker. You know all your ideal colors. My clients walk around with a swatch at the shops, and I show them how to find their colors online, and you just kind of dial in on the colors that light you up. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, probably 99 out of 100 times, people say, wow, those are the colors I like. Those are actually the colors I like.
Yeah. And
Mm.
I love that. Um, so there are, I've wasted so much money, and I think a lot of us women do, is we try on these clothes that might be a little bit outside our comfort zone, especially as we get older, right? And the people at the store are helping us, supposedly. They're encouraging us to step outside, and then you wear it somewhere, and I'll never forget shopping. I got this bright yellow jacket because I like wearing jackets. I get cold often, so I always dress in layers. And I got home, and my husband's always like, let me see what'd you get?" And he's like, "Oh, no." And I'm like, "Well, this was the one I wasn't sure about because I didn't feel it, but it was sassy, right? So it's feeling a little sassy. So I'm
Mm,
like, well, maybe, but then he's like, no. And so
mm.
how often are we shopping for things because other people talk us into it?
Yes.
And then
Oh,
we get the feedback
yes.
that's like,
And s
oh,
and sometimes people don't get the feedback because most of the time, unless it's someone close to you like your husband, people don't talk about this, just like they wouldn't talk about manners, or they wouldn't talk about behavior of your children, or like there's just some things
right.
that we don't talk about. And so it takes someone very close to you, or someone who's invested in you, to actually make the effort to talk about it. So yeah, and then the other way of getting feedback is just over time realizing, I don't feel great when I wear that.
Yeah.
Things, it just doesn't come together. So it is better to set that standard for yourself and just think, I'm not going to take it home unless I love it and I know it looks fantastic. And that, it's just a little bit of, no thank you, I'm fine, to the very helpful people in the store who are really just trying to sell something most of the time. And if you keep those three things in mind, it's great for my body shape, makes my figure looks fantastic. It feels like my vibe, which is another way of saying it's, my style persona, or it's my actual style, because we can personalize it a lot more from style persona. Um, and it's aligned with my colors. That's when you'll feel that you love your clothes.
Oh, I love that. And I have had, um, it's been over a decade. My color's done. And
Nice.
I think it is an absolute powerful tool for
Yeah.
us to understand that there are professionals like yourself who can look at us and say, This is a good color for you. This is not."
Yeah.
Um,
And
and,
it's
and go
I
ahead.
think it's well, like you're wearing a gorgeous color for you today, and the difference it makes when people interact with you is it just feels harmonious. It feels like, ah, nice. You give this little moment of delight, and then yeah, things just flow more easily from there. So it's a lovely thing to do for yourself and for every moment that you're interacting in. And then if you're in a high stakes moment, like you need to bring that sense of influence, it just is so empowering to have that sense of alignment with, colors, body shape, and style.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Let's say, because I work with a lot of speakers, right? And I work with a lot of CEOs. So people who are commanding the room,
Mm.
right? And having hundreds, if not thousands of people listening to them, right? And they want to look authoritative. What would you say? What's like one or two top tiered outfits? How would you dress to be um to be heard, to be seen as authoritative?
Oh,
Is
my
it
mind just goes in so many different directions because
Yes, I
I really
know.
I think, oh, there's, who is the person? I'll say I think there's a great outfit which works most of the time, which is uh, a top, like a shirt with a fancy collar of some description. So the necklines will vary based on your body shape. But it's, if that shirt is a fantastic color, it's perhaps a shiny look. If that aligns with style persona, not everyone likes that, or a pattern, and you wear that with a straight edge skirt or a wide leg pair of pants. That's a great, easy look for the stage, and that, for women. Um, and then of course there's the suit. And that's another really easy one to get a great suit that fits well and wear a shirt or a top underneath it that is a fantastic color. And I think, there's a lot, we could talk a lot about mistakes people make on TV and stage and the things to avoid. And I've done a whole video training on this, and people can access that as a playlist through my website. It's one of the 5 videos on my executive style playlist.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but yeah, so there's a lot more to it in terms of what to avoid and what to do. But
So
those
let's give
outfits
it,
are great to get into, yeah. Just
and
straight to
I'm one, I love the power suit. Right? And I typically go with a traditional, like a darker color, but then I'll have a shirt or something that pops, and then I'm all about the jewelry because I'm part raccoon and I love the sparkles. But
I love.
that's when it comes to that's part of what I see often as a mistake that women make is the jewelry. Do
Yeah.
you see that as well?
Yeah, I do, in that jewelry is very personal. It's a really great place to show your personality, actually. And what I see is, yeah, people mismatching and wearing too much. And those are the 2 biggest things. So just being careful around, does it look complementary? Sometimes, if you tend to put a lot of jewelry on, then looking and thinking, is the eye just drawn in all kinds of weird places on this outfit? And is it really better to just take one piece of jewelry off? Uh, we want to, what we're really going for with design is a complementary, harmonious, coherent look that's easy on the eye. So it's got to be kind of a tastefully placed accessory, if you know what I mean, and like just
Yeah.
too much is too much. And yeah, and then the mismatch is when you say, for example, have metal jewelry and costume jewelry, like extreme example. Like say, I've got these little covered metal earrings on, which has got like a kind of plastic dusting over the top to give them that color. But if I paired that with, say, a silver or gold necklace, it's all over the place, completely wrong genres. It's not telling a coherent story. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is the language of style, is kind of making it coherent.
Okay, love it, and totally agree. I love it. Like, just it's so I have so many questions, but we're running out of time. So one of the questions I also wanted to ask is about heels. What is your thought on heels? And there's a lot of people wearing these cute little tennis shoes, and um, yeah, talk to me
So
about that.
for being on stage or for another context?
So let's talk one on stage and then
Mhm.
two at just out and about trying to impress clients.
Okay, so say one stage and one's a client meeting or a
Yeah.
potential client meeting, sales opportunity. Um, well, let's do sneakers first. So sneakers are 100% a casual item. Now you can mix and match that into business casual and make that work, but you can't they don't work in anything more towards formal. So you can't stretch them into, a business casual. Like you're definitely not going to be wearing your sneakers with your suit and pull that off. So
What? Even though if they have bling on it? Because I've seen some speakers who wear the bling and I have to scratch my head a little bit.
well, yeah, like say I was at a house showing a couple of days ago, and the real estate agent turned up in business casual, a shirt, a dark pair of jeans, which is totally business casual, great, but then a pair of sneakers. And they were just too different from everything else going on to really be coherent. It was kind of like, you know, um, taking you seriously, not taking you seriously was that what the outfit was
Ah.
saying, and not really recognizing this moment and just haven't created a coherent look. You can't have things that are too far apart and make it work. There's definitely an element of like tension is needed in design to have, like the sneaker and the suit, the blazer could go really well with a pair of jeans. And there's enough connection between them there that it works, but you can't have too much tension. So I know what the speakers who are wearing blinging sandals, blinging sneakers with that are total bling, you can't even really tell it's a sneaker. Um, there's just a way to style the rest of the outfit so that it's coherent and it's still singing those notes of this is my personality and this is, but I'm still here respecting you as an audience member and respecting this opportunity and, here to give you my best stuff. Like it's really trying to find that right note. Heels can be very difficult to wear on stage. I know when I've given workshops and one time I was wearing stilettos, and after 2 hours of standing up giving this workshop, I just realized my ankles are hurting. Like, this is not fun. So it depends on how long you're on stage for, but heels definitely fall into formal, and it's so much about the vibe that that person wants to give. Fantastic for speaking, but block heels can be a good move. Even a raised flat or a platform shoe can be an easier way to do it rather than stilettos.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So, well, I'm a short girl, so I'm 5 foot nothing. So I like wearing heels just because of the confidence it brings to me.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't wear the stilettos. I wear a good heel. So it's just finding that balance, right? Feeling good,
Yes.
making sense, being able to walk. Um, and
Yes.
because I've seen people trip on stage, which that's always, you say a little prayer. and hope. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
just
So thank you for sharing that. So you have a gift for us, for our audience today,
yes.
a style persona quiz. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's this connection. So we have one of 12 personas, and it's about the connection between our personality and our style. And using the Big Five model, or the Ocean model, it's also called. Um, we know that there are four or five. The fifth is neuroticism, but it doesn't affect the style. So it's a wild card. So I've removed that from the system. But these these traits around openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, they have an impact on how we dress and what we feel aligned in, what feels fantastic. So once you know your style persona, you get the name of the persona, you get 3 keywords that help you move your style in that direction, and you get tips around what that means for your colors, for your structure of and fit for accessories, and yeah, a bunch of other little things in there. Uh, so that's a great 5-minute quiz to do. People have told me it's reliable. They come back, they get the same response next time. And I worked really hard with the developers to make sure that that was possible. Gives you a really clear direction for where you're taking your style, and that's available at stylegorgeous.com/quiz with your coupon code Breaking Bad. People can
Oh,
access it as a gift.
that is so generous. Thank you so much for
Such a
giving
pleasure.
that, because at the end of the day, if you we communicate better when we feel better, when we feel confident, when we are, showing up as our authentic self. And that has everything to do with also how we dress. You know,
Totally.
when we look good, we feel good. When we feel good, we communicate. We are just happier people when we put it all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I feel like it's a powerful tool, and it's almost an aspect of self-care. It's almost just look after this
yeah.
aspect of ourselves. Like let's have that moment where you look in the mirror and you think, I look great, and I know I'm turning up looking fantastic.
Yeah, no matter our body style, and me as a woman is going through menopause, right? So things are shifting in different ways, and where there's a wiggle where there wasn't a jiggle before. And
Yeah.
so all of that, but just embracing the body we have is a gift. It
Yeah.
truly is a gift. Every day is a gift. So why not own that space, be dress it like we know that our body matters, and
That's it.
and just show it off.
Right?
Own that space, own our worth.
I love it. You said it. You said it. It's love the one you're with. We've only got one body, and it is beautiful. Like it's just whether you value it that way, whether you see yourself that way, and that's our choice.
All right, Miss Nina, I have a couple quick questions for you. So we're going to shift a little
Okay.
bit. We're going to get to know you on a personal level here. So,
Love it.
would you say you are a morning or night person?
Morning. Yes, I
Morning.
get stuff done in the morning. This is my thinking time, morning time. Yeah.
Got it. And would you say that you prefer sweet or salty?
Salty. I can
Yeah,
easily way too much sweet, but salty works every time. Always. I'm
me
always having
too.
salt. Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
do you have a favorite salty food?
Fries.
Potatoes. Yes, yes. Oh, you're my sister from a different mister. I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you were to have an amazing dinner, would it be cooked at home or do you go out to a restaurant?
Do you know, I would cook it at home because I find it hard to eat as well at a restaurant as I can make it.
I
I
know.
love food and I am super into cooking, mainly because of the product. I really like great food. We had a sweet potato frittata last night, and I was just still thinking, I'm inspired by that meal. Like, this is.
Well, you are probably an excellent cook. So, uh, love that.
I
Okay, so
just
if
love it.
you want
Mm.
if you wanted something yummy, All right, you're
Mm.
just craving something yummy. Would you eat it or drink it?
There's a food theme here, Kathy. This is fun. I would, if I was craving something, so I imagine it would be kind of any time of the day, I would eat it. There's so many things that are
Eat.
yummy I could eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beach
Mm.
or mountain? What
Hard
calls to
one
you?
because I love water, anything water, but I'm not hugely into the grit of sand.
Ah,
So
okay.
I'd
Be
probably
on a
go,
boat?
yeah, I'd be on a boat or I'd be at I'd be like near the water, but or in the water, but not on the beach.
On the beach. Got it. I love it. Okay, so if you wanted to read an amazing book, is it paper or Kindle?
Paper,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, I love
Yes,
it. I love it. Now, so this is do you buy or library?
I do both.
Yeah.
If I What I love about the library, I have this great library app, and it means it's available right then and there. Or I'll
Yeah.
Google it if I want something right straight away. But I also browse the bookshop and just, oh, I haven't had that one. If I'm on a plane, I really like to read paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do. I definitely do both.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So, if you were to enjoy a movie or a show, would it be a true movie or would you binge watch like a series?
A movie, yes. I
Movie.
don't have a huge patience for series. I don't sit down and watch series like, do the Netflix binge
Yeah.
very, very much. But I'll love a recommended movie. I just go, okay, that's only 2 hours. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see. So, have you watched the movie Zoolander?
Yes, twice.
Okay. I
Did
love
you just
my
do
husband.
Blue Steel as you were asking me that question?
Maybe, I don't
I
know.
think you may have
Um,
done Blue Steel.
that's awesome. No, so what I loved about that movie is they talk about a walk-on song, like they have a theme song. So
Oh,
if you were to walk on stage, if you were to walk into a room and just own it, what
mhm.
song would be playing in the background?
It would be Unstoppable by Sia, my favorite artist, and
Oh.
just such a rousing, inspiring, take this moment song. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's the first time I've heard that one. That's a really, really good one. So thank you so much for joining us here and sharing your time, your talents, your knowledge on, just taking who we are to the next level when it comes to style. Because again, that 7-Eleven rule is so powerful. And so, my guests today, that's a wrap for today's episode of Breaking Bad Communication. Thank you for being here and tuning in. But before we sign off, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like what you heard today or it resonates with you, feel free to share this, post it with other people, get it out there. And know this, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. So as you head back out into the world, remember every conversation is your chance to shape your life and the lives of others. Whether it's a tough talk or a casual chat, be clear, intentional, and listen like it matters. The better you communicate, the more your life aligns with what you truly want. So go on out, get out there, own your voice, make your words work for you. Giddy up.